Okay, hey guys, sorry for the delay. All right, so welcome back to another IC Markets webinar. Right, today we'll be going through the usual pre-market live analysis. Okay, and as usual, this is the disclaimer. So remember that everything in this webinar is educational in nature and nothing should be construed as investment or trading advice. Alright, so please remember to do your own due diligence before you guys trade. Alright. Okay, so for the agenda for today, we'll go through very simple things. Right. Firstly will be high impact news events for the week ahead and also key technical setups to watch out for. Alright, so I'm your host for today. My name is Woon and I'll be going through today's exclusive pre-markets live analysis webinar. Alright, so for the key news events for today, alright, for this week, right? This upcoming week, we actually don't really have a lot of news. We only have a couple of news on Wednesday, Thursday, as well as Friday itself. Alright, so for Monday and Tuesday, we have no high impact news, right? No red folder news at all, which means that there is lesser volatility in the markets for Monday and Tuesday. Yes, of course, as usual. Hi Nick. Alright, we'll go through DXY first, and then of course any other pairs that you guys want me to go through with you, just type it in the chat box and I will go through the pairs that you guys want me to. Alright, yeah, so don't be shy, just feel free to type in any pair that you want me to go through, right? And then I will go through the setups for you guys. Alright. Okay, so for Wednesday, we have high impact news for CAD and AUD, right? So for CAD currency, we have Bank of Canada, Governor Macklem speaking, as well as AUD, we have CPI news. Okay, so I would say AUD, it will affect pairs such as AUD USD, right? AUD JPY, etc. Alright. Then we also have high impact news on Thursday, basically for USD pairs, right? We have USD preliminary GDP as well as USD unemployment claims. Alright, this is to prepare us for the following week ahead for NFP. Alright, then for Friday, we actually have CAD GDP as well as USD core PCE price index. Alright, so for Friday, it will affect pairs a lot for CAD pairs because we have GDP news. Alright, but for USD, right, through my experience, core PCE price index wouldn't really move the markets that much. Alright, so you wouldn't really have to worry a lot on Friday itself. Okay, so the pairs that we will have to watch out for would consist of CAD, AUD, and USD currency pairs. Alright. Yes, Ibrahima. Right. Okay, GBP USD and GBP JPY. Sure. Right, GBP JPY is one of my favorite pairs actually. Okay, so without further ado, let's go through together the DXY. Alright, so let me just reset this. Okay, so for the DXY pairs, right, we wouldn't really have a lot of difference from the Monday of this week, right? Because we can see right here that price is still reacting to this area right here, and of course this, if I were to zoom in, right, right here, okay, this order block has not been tapped yet. Yes, bullish order block. Okay, this bullish order block has not been tapped, means it is fresh. Okay, so since it is fresh, right, there is a higher chance for price to actually come back down to this bullish order block to come to this first resistance level over here. Alright, also right, you can see the first thing that we want to look at is for price to close below this low. Okay, for price to close below this low, let me see the Ichimoku cloud. Okay, so far the Ichimoku cloud is still bearish, right? So what we want to see is for price to take out this low and react to this pivot point over here. All right, let me see. Dun-dun-dun. Let me take a look at okay, so imagine if, let's see, right, if price creates a inverse Nike tick over here, right, this will be our 127.2% Fibo extension level for our pivot point. Okay, so let's see if price will be able to come to our pivot point, right? So far we can see price is rejecting this area, rejecting this low right here, right, on the H4, but H1 it might actually be bearish, right? You can see price, let's see if price is unable to close above this high over here, right, most likely price will fall to this level, at least to this pivot point over here, right? Then we could possibly see a bullish bounce of this pivot point towards our first resistance level. Okay, so essentially what we are looking at is for price to drop to our pivot point. All right, yes, so let's see. Okay, let me see. Alright, so let's look at GBP USD now. Alright, so for GBP USD, okay, let me reset this for a little bit. Alright. Okay, so for GBP USD, essentially, right, if you look at how price action is, right, it is creating a inverse head and shoulders pattern, right? If you can look at how the price is being created, okay, right here we can see a left shoulder, and then this is the head, and this is our right shoulder. Okay, LS is left shoulder, RS is right shoulder. Alright, so with this in mind, since price is potentially creating a inverse head and shoulders pattern, what we can look at is the ending point would be roughly about here, right? So since this could be our rough ending point, okay, then we can extend our level over here, place this as our pivot point. Alright, let's see, I think it is about 200 pips, right? I wouldn't really enter sells over here because I know that price will potentially come to this area over here. So I would rather play it a little bit safer and wait for an opportunity for price to sell off over here. Okay, so our opportunity is for price to sell off here, since there is our pivot point. And where should our resistance be? Our resistance shall be above this high over here. Yeah, we'll choose this as it is more reliable. Okay, this multi swing high resistance level. Alright, this is our first resistance area. Alright, and what's next would be our support area. Let me see. Yeah, okay, so our support area would be definitely this level over here. Oh. Okay, so what we are looking at is for price to come up above this level. Alright, then we can sell off from here. Potentially, you can also look for buy opportunities here. Okay, so let's see how the markets will provide for us. Alright, then this is our sell zone, this area. Alright, so I think it's more of a patience game. This is what we are looking at for GBP USD. Alright, let me see at, okay, so far so good. Any levels over here? Let me see. Yeah, okay, so our pivot point, sorry, the 78.6% Fibo projection level is near our pivot point area, so there is a potential for price to actually come up close to this area over here. Let me just refine this a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. Right, so we can see this level is a potential sell entry for GBP USD. Alright, let me see if I can find any Fibo confluence. 50%, let me see. Okay, yeah, I think that is it for GBP USD. Okay, let me go through GBP JPY and then I will go through AUD USD. Alright, GBP JPY, right here. Okay, GBP JPY. Okay, so for GBP JPY, right, it used to be my favorite pair actually, but after trading it for quite some time, right, I realized that it doesn't really respect a lot of SNR. SNR meaning support and resistance and Fibo retracement levels, etc. Right? It's more of smart money concepts. Okay, so let me see how I might tackle GBP JPY. Let me see H4 seems like, let me see, H4 seems bearish, H4 bullish. Alright, let me see GBP JPY. Daily FEG. If I were to enter here, let me see, J61.8%. 61.8%. Okay, I know how to tackle GBP JPY. Alright, so if you look at GBP JPY, okay, what we can potentially look at, wait, let me see. Okay, yeah, what we can potentially look at is, let me show you a little trick. All right, we might change this up a little bit. Okay, so for GBP JPY, right, you can see how price, let's look at market structure first. All right, so market structure tell us that it is currently still bullish because price has broken past this level, right? Even though we have slight pullback, which is normal, all right, because we have such a nice recovery for GBP JPY, all right, which is about 600 pips, right? So we can expect a slight pullback. Okay, so overall we are still bullish. If you look at Ichimoku cloud, it is still bullish Ichimoku cloud, all right. And if you look at MA, which is our moving average, it is still above the 50 and 200 moving average. All right, so with that in mind, okay, we will mark out a potential. Let me zoom in a little bit here. Okay, from this area right here, can you look at any areas where there is a fair value gap? Okay, here there is one, right? There is one fair value gap here, but price has already passed this fair value gap. Okay, second one, price is now testing this fair value gap. All right, so of course the next one that we will be looking at is this level, right? And this level is more reliable. Why? Because, right, let me show you why. Because if you use fair value gap, right, then afterwards you also have your 61.8% Fibo retracement level right about the fair value gap area, right? This gives you enough confluence to enter buys of this area. Okay, and as for our support, right, so this is essentially our pivot point. Okay, so this is essentially our pivot point. All right, oh, sorry about that. Okay, yeah, then afterwards we have our first support level over here. All right, then of course the next area that we will look at is our resistance area over here. First resistance, yeah, okay, so this is essentially what I am looking at for GBP JPY. all right. Okay, so wait, let me see. Okay, %. Okay, so this level is a pretty nice level for us to enter buys off, because okay, to re-emphasize, right, for our pivot point we have the 61.8% Fibo projection as well as the 61.8% Fibo retracement level. Okay, so this aligns with us, with our pivot point, because this gives us Fibo confluence, right, to enter off this area. So we just have to wait patiently for price to drop to our pivot point, and I think we are 150 pips off. Yeah, we are about 150 pips off, and to move 150 pips, right, it is about, yeah, about 2 days, right? It's about 2 days for us to reach 150 pips, so not that long. All right, so I would say roughly about 2 days, maybe by Tuesday price would probably reach our pivot point. Okay, so you can expect us to look out for an entry over here. Bullish arrow. Okay, this is a little bit more advanced, so this applies to exotic pairs that are not the majors. Okay, so this is because what I realized about GBP JPY is that it doesn't really respect a lot of SNR, which is our usual support and resistance strategy. So for those that are asking, right, for GBP JPY, this is what I would use to trade. All right. Okay, now let's go to wow. Okay, I guess you guys like AUD USD. All right, so for AUD USD, okay, wow, previously we had our nice pivot point and price is actually going in the direction that we like, right? If you guys entered AUD USD, price is up about close to 74 pips. All right, so congratulations for those that took AUD USD. Can I ask who actually entered AUD USD? Just a little check on you guys, right? See if you actually took the trade, which is AUD USD. Let me just wait for the chat. Yeah, so it was just this. Let me see. Here did it like this week. Sorry, last week, right? Oh, Watson, are you in AUD USD? Do you take the buys over here? Do you take the buys over here? Right, last week we had this pivot point over here, which which I wanted to know if you took the trade for AUD USD. Okay, if you did, I think it will be fine. Just remember to so the analysis that I'm doing for AUD USD now, all right, will show you where should your exit point be. All right, so let me just go through with you guys. Okay, so for the exit point, okay, our exit point, we can see price for AUD USD, right? Very simple. I guess that's the reason why a lot of people actually trade 6470. Oh, okay, got it. All right, okay, so for market structure, right, we can see AUD USD is making, okay, AUD USD is essentially creating lower low, lower high, lower low. All right, so what we can look at is probably a lower low, lower high to create a lower low. All right, because price has already broke past this area, so this is our first change of character, and then after that we have break of structure. Okay, so what we can look at is to create a lower high and form a lower low. Alright, so this is essentially just basic market structure that you guys will have to know. Alright, okay, so let me just leave it here for a little while so that you guys can understand. Alright, so our pivot point will actually be this level over here, right, which is this swing high resistance level. So this is our pivot point. Alright, because we can, if you look right here, we have a bearish engulfing candle which confirms that this level, right, this area is a valid supply area for us to sell from, okay, for the sellers to actually come in and take control. Alright, so for now the buyers are in control, but once based off market structure, right, sellers will come in right about this area. Okay, so to put it simply, this is our pivot point, and let me see, is around 100%, 78. Okay, so roughly it is about at the 78.6% Fibo projection level. Alright, so I will usually highlight this area. Where is my, yeah, okay, resistance area. Alright, so this is my resistance area. Okay, then this is my pivot point, and this other swing high resistance level over here is my first resistance level. Alright, and as for my support is of course at this swing low support, this swing low support level. Alright, this is my first support. Okay, so there is potential for price to actually react off our pivot point. I think we can still, oh no, we can't use this fib anymore. Yeah, because price has already tested here and price has already created a new low, so we can't use this Fibo retracement level. Alright, but we can use this Fibo projection point, alright, as a reference. Okay, so this is essentially what I am looking at for AUD USD. Bearish. Okay, right about 0.6546, roughly about there. This should be your exit point. Okay, Watson and Ren, right? This is your exit point. If you are in AUD buys, this should be your exit point. Alright. Okay. Alright, so now let me cover the rest of the majors. Okay. Alright, so let me start off with AUD USD. Okay, so far AUD USD is still within our sell area, so nothing changes, right? Our pivot point is still right about this swing high resistance level over here. Okay, we already have confirmation that price have a change of character. Alright, price is coming up to this level over here, so potentially we can see a drop to create a break of structure. Okay, just simple market structure. Alright, then of course our first resistance over here is referenced to this point, which is a multi-swing high resistance level over here. Okay, so this is what I am looking at. Let me reset this. Okay, then our first support haven't changed at all, which is still this. Okay, I think we can shift this up to here. Yeah, I think this makes more sense. Okay, we can shift this up here, make it closer. All right, this overlap support level is our new first support area. All right, let me see. Yes, all right. Let me see, 61 and 100. Okay, yeah. So we can see right here, this pivot point aligns with our 61.8% feeble projection, and our first resistance aligns with the 100% feeble projection over here. All right. So I think it's pretty straightforward for euro dollar. Okay, next we have USD JPY. Okay, so for USD JPY, all right, let me see. Yeah, price has not moved since last week as well. It has been ranging around this area, so I would say this pivot point is still valid, right? Let me see, USD JPY. Support area first. Okay, yeah. Alright, so for USD JPY, price has been ranging in this area right here. Okay, so we can possibly see price will finally react to this pivot point to rise towards this first resistance level. Why? Is because once price is ranging, right, we want it to react off this area to create a breakout of this level. Okay, this is what we are potentially looking at. Alright, and also price is still above the bullish Ichimoku clock, so there is a higher chance for it to bounce off this pivot point to rise towards our first resistance area over here. Alright, okay, I think it's pretty straightforward. And then I think we can remove this. Yeah, make it more simple. Yep, so this is the range that we are essentially looking at. Okay, then our first resistance level is of course still the overlap resistance level. Alright, and of course our first support is the multi swing low support level over here. Alright, so this is bullish. Okay, so this is what I am looking at for USD JPY. Alright, so now let's move on to USD CHF. Okay, so for USD CHF right here, let me reset this. Okay, we can see price is now reacting to this level over here, right? So what I am looking at is potentially DXY. Yeah, okay, what I want is for price to react to this pivot point over here right now. Alright, so this is our pivot point. Let me see, is it bearish? Okay, it's bearish, yeah. Okay, so I think to keep it a little bit tighter, we shall place our stop loss right about this area over here. Okay, this is our first support. Wait, let me see. I think this is better. Okay, let me see for support. Okay, I think this is fine. Let me see if this aligns. 61.8%. 61. Yeah, okay, so this trade, why I would be a little bit worried is because we can see even though we have a nice change of character right here, okay, however price is now bearish, okay, and you can look at the bearish Ichimoku cloud, it is still bearish. All right, so let's see if price will actually come towards this area over here. All right, this area for USD CHF is a nice demand zone. Yeah, sure, of course. Give me a moment. All right, after this pair, after USD CHF, I will look at gold. Oh, sorry, I'll look at USD CAD, right? Then I will look at gold. All right. Okay, just give me a moment. We will get to go. Leave the best for one of the last. All right. Okay. Alright, so now let's look at the resistance level. Alright, so the resistance level that we would probably be looking at is this area over here. Just this first resistance area. Alright, I'll keep this range tight, because if I were to extend my first support level for USD CHF, right, it will be all the way right here, which is impossible. All right, so I would like to keep it keep it tight. All right, for this range. All right, so this is what I'm looking at for USD CHF. Let me see. Okay, so this should be bullish. All right, this will be bullish. And then let me see. Yeah, I think we don't really have any feeble confluences here. So USD CHF, I think, is not as popular as the other pairs, so I'll keep it out of the watch list for now. All right. Okay, so let's move on to USD CAD. Okay, so for USD CAD, all right, USD CAD is a little bit trickier, right? So I would like to look at this area for my pivot point. Okay, I would like to look at this area for my pivot point. Why? Is because if you look at market structure, you can see how price has already Alright, you can see how price has been creating higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, potentially creating a higher low to create a new higher high. Alright, which is roughly about this level over here. Okay, so this is the market structure that I am actually looking at. Okay, so if you were to look at USD CAD, okay, this is our pivot point. And then our first support shall be right about this level over here. Okay, this is a safer range for you guys. Alright, then as for our first resistance level will be right about this area. Okay, so what we are looking at here, let me see. Yeah, I don't think, yeah, we shouldn't use this fib, because this fib, right, it is cutting through this area. Like this area is cutting through our fib retracement level, so we shouldn't use this Fibo retracement tool. All right, even though there's a nice 61.8%, yeah, there is a nicer 61.8% Fibo retracement level, but I will stay out from here, okay, and just stick to using, wait, let me see if there's actually projection. I don't think there is projection. Yeah, there isn't projection, so we shall take this out as well. Okay, so just very simple market structure and support and resistance area to look at. Okay, this is our pivot point. Yeah, of course we can take a look at US tech. Okay, later on I will go through gold and then I'll go through US tech. All right. Okay, so yeah, this is for USD CAD, and if let me see, yeah, so for Wednesday we actually have CAD news. Okay, so this is to prep us for the CAD pair, right, which is USD CAD. Okay. Alright, okay, so now let's take a look at gold. Okay, so for gold, right, price didn't manage to let me show you guys the analysis last week. Okay, last week, right, essentially on Monday 19th of August, right, if you look at the calendar over here, you can see price didn't actually come down to our pivot point, which is unfortunate, right? But okay, now let's take a look at where price would be. Okay, if you take a look at gold, right now price is potentially in this area. Let me see. Price is at this area. Okay, yeah, you can see right here, right, there is a potential for price to reject off this level over here. Okay, so what I would do is for price to react. Let me see, 300, 400, 400. Okay, yeah, so this is our pivot point. Okay, we shall place this as our pivot point over here. Right, let me just take this out, it might be a bit misleading. Okay, and then for our resistance, right, we will place it right about this area over here. Yeah, I think we keep it a little bit tighter this time around. All right, so this is our first resistance area. This is just a range. Okay, so of course if you take a look at H4, right, H4 looks better, right? H4, this is a nice entry, and I would say why would this be a nice entry, right? Because this is essentially our order block over here. Do I have a bearish? Yeah, I have a bearish order block. Okay, this is our bearish order block. Okay, then we have a bearish engulfing candle followed by 2 consecutive bearish candle. So this indicates that this bearish order block is good, right? This is confirmation for us. All right, so this is usually what I would look at, right? Firstly is a bullish. If we are looking at sales, for example, if we are looking at sales, okay, what we are looking first, oh, Why is this like that? Okay, what we are looking at first is we need to see a bullish, imagine this as a green candle, all right, bullish candle. All right, then after that we need to have a bearish engulfing candle, all right, followed by 2 consecutive bearish candles. Okay, this is what we are looking at for a ideal situation, which is here. All right, okay, so since we have all this put in place, right, okay, this pivot point will be a nice entry for H4 entry for gold itself. All right, then let me see daily. Okay, let me see if there is projection. Yeah, okay, so our pivot point aligns very nicely with the 61.8% Fibo projection level, and then our first resistance also aligns with our 100% Fibo projection level. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at for gold itself. Oh, hello, good day to you too. All right, let me see. Did this actually react to 78.6? Let me see. Yeah, I think we can use this also. Yeah, so this gives us extra Fibo confluence at this pivot point because it has the 78.6% Fibo retracement level as well as the 61.8% Fibo projection level right at our pivot point. Oh yes, almost forgot. Our first support area is right about here, which is our swing low support level. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at for gold itself. Okay, bearish arrow. Yeah, okay, so for those trading gold, I think this would be a pretty solid opportunity for you guys, right, to enter gold. Okay, but of course, you need to also look at H4 and H1, right? We need to see body closure, right? This is what I call body closure. Okay, imagine if there is a level over here, what we want to see is for price to close below. All right, then you enter off. Right, if price starts to close above our pivot point, then stay out of gold for the time being. All right, okay, let me see US tech. Okay, let's take a look at US tech. I think it's pretty interesting because it's been a while since I took a look at US tech. Let me see US tech projection. -27. Okay. Alright, so for US tech, Dawn, right? Okay, so Dawn, for US tech, right? We can see for now the stock markets are a little bit rough. Okay, it might still actually be bullish, right? It might still be very much bullish. Alright, so if you are looking for an opportunity for US tech, right? So far, okay, the pivot point I would say is right about here. Okay, this would probably be my pivot point, all right, which is this high over here. All right, another level that I can look at is for price to react to this level, which is my first resistance area. How did I get this first resistance level? Is basically the 100% feeble projection, right? Projecting price to go from here, right here, create a higher high. All right, once price creates a higher high, right, it will always have a pullback. Okay, then right here we also have negative 27.2% expansion level. How did I get that? Is basically I draw the fib from this point to this point, and then I managed to get the expansion level. So this gives us feeble confluence here. So I would say if price were to go past this pivot point, right, this would essentially be your next sell level. Okay, so this pivot point is not as reliable as this one over here, because this pivot point only has the 78.6% feeble projection, while this first resistance level has the 100% feeble projection together with negative to 27.2% feeble expansion level. Alright, so this gives us feeble confluence here. Alright, and as for my first support, right, my first support will of course be this swing low support level over here. Alright, so essentially what I'm looking at is for price to react off this pivot point, and then we shall see how it plays out from here. Okay, alright, so yeah, I hope that is clear for you, Don. Okay, let me do BTC. Okay, I think BTC is a little bit interesting. Okay, so for BTC, right, BTC, there is a level that I am actually looking at right now, right? It's at the 111 area over here. This is actually my pivot point for BTC USD. Okay, then this is my first support at 107, and then for my first resistance would be at this swing high resistance level over here. Okay, so what I am looking at is yeah, let me see if price 161. Yeah, okay, so this first support, why I chose it, because it is a multi-swing low support as well as the 161.8% feeble extension level, but at this pivot point is a rather stable pivot point because it is at the overlap support area over here, and you can see such a huge reaction, right, a huge rejection over here. Okay, so price could potentially bounce up from here to rise towards our first resistance point. Okay, this is what I am in right now. All right, then let me see any other. Yeah, I think it's pretty simple for BTC USD. Okay, then let me see what else I can look at. I think US 30 not really as well. Okay, I think we should leave US 30 out. What we should do right here. Okay, so for S&P 500, I think it's similar to US tech, right? Let me see if actually go past 50%. Okay, yeah, then I think it's fine to use this. Okay, then this one we have a, let me see, 78.6. Yeah, okay, so my pivot point would be at this level over here, right, which aligns with the 78.6% feeble projection level as well as the negative 27.2% feeble expansion, right? Then for our resistance will be over here. Okay, so what I am projecting is for price to create a higher high and then drop as a pullback. Okay, then of course this shall be my first support level over here. So what I'm looking at is for price to drop. Okay, because once we have a all-time high, price will usually pull back a little bit after that. Alright, so this is what I'm looking at. Okay, so yeah, that is all for me for you guys. Any other questions so far? Right, I'm sure I have gone through all the pairs that you guys requested for. So I hope that you guys have understood the setups and also the explanation for it as well. Alright, so any last questions that you guys have? If not, then I will end off the session here. Right, I will wait for probably a minute or so to see if you guys have any other questions. Okay, so that is all from me to you guys. Alright, thank you once again for joining into today's session. Alright, thank you from me and from IC Markets as well for your continuous support and for you guys to join in for today's pre-market live analysis. Alright, so please remember to stay safe and trade safe. Alright, I shall see you guys again next time. Okay, bye bye.